Good. Hi, everyone. I'm Allison. Thank you for joining me for Where I'm From 196 with Fred. Welcome, Fred.
Good
Uh,
to be here.
Fred is the creator of the prompts that we use for this whole endeavor. And Georgella was the one who made me aware of your name, which I added to my little story. And um, you're kind of you're an unsung hero of the growth of this poem and of this project. And I'm so pleased to meet you and grateful for what you did all those years ago. So welcome,
Well,
Fred.
I'm happy to be here, but I have to tell you, I can't take credit for everything that's been attributed to me.
Mm,
Um, I realized that I was a writer, wanted to be a writer when I was 54
mm,
in 2002. And in 2003, I took my first writing workshop at Radford University's Highland Summer Writers Workshop. And Appalachian poet Rita Quillen read her version of this.
mm, mhm,
And I was smitten by it. And then 2 months later at Joseph C. Campbell Folk School, Elizabeth Hunter, who was a contributing editor for Blue Ridge Country magazine, used some kind of template. I'm not
mhm,
sure it was the exact template that's been propagated
mhm,
on my blog, Fragments from Floyd, starting in 2003.
mhm,
But that's my history.
mhm.
And what I've done is spread the seeds. I'm Johnny Appleseed
You really are, yes.
for this poem.
Yeah, and I think you're correct. There are different versions of the
Mhm.
prompt out there. Who that are not really attributed either. But I'm grateful you're here and you are someone who did create it, one of them. And because sometimes people say, "Oh, I did such a good job," and no, 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 I didn't. I just,
Exactly.
I'm just emailing it to you.
It
I
goes
did,
back to Georgella. All the credit goes back to
yes,
Georgella.
yes, and I think for me too, she's such a great example of generosity of
Yeah.
spirit. She didn't hold it tightly. She she shared it and look at what it's done.
Released it into the wild.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because she's going to join me in a couple weeks or a few weeks and for 200, and she's planning to read another poem she wrote around that time that is kind of a where I'm from adjacent
Uh-huh.
poem. I mean, it has some of the same elements, and she's read it to me already, and she's like, imagine if I'd done this one instead, it wouldn't be the same. So I love that too. Like just, I mean, serendipity, right? There's so much of that.
You just never know.
No, you really don't. And you couldn't plan such a thing, any of it. Um, so thank you.
Yes,
Um, and would you like to read your poem?
I will.
Okay.
I will. Let me slide this over where I can see it. Right. I had cataract surgery in December, and now I have these
Mm,
things everywhere I go.
but I've
Reading.
heard it's life. I think I've heard my mom's had it, and she said it was wonderful. The world looked bright again
Oh,
after.
it's incredible. And I
Yeah.
only did one eye, so I've got another one to
Oh,
go.
yeah. So you can really tell the difference.
Well, I realize since you and I started talking about this a couple of weeks ago, when you first got in touch with me, that I wrote this in November 2003. And I was a young writer then. I was, 55 or so, but I didn't know where I was from. I had moved around to go to school, to take jobs, but I didn't feel like, oh, well, I wrote one time, said some people live in the place of their birth and they never leave it. But for others like me, something's missing there, and we look for home in places we've never found but long to find.
Mhm.
And so my wife and I found Southwest Virginia, a little community called Floyd County, and it just felt like it resonated with us in an odd way. And we knew we belonged there. But my kids really never had a home place. And so this 140-year-old house that we totally restored became our home place and the 80 acres around it and the two creeks. I was trying very hard to adopt that as our future home place.
Mhm.
And so a lot of that has to do with that one specific spot that I thought I would live in, write about, and die there. And now I'm in central Missouri.
Mhm.
So you just never know.
No.
So I will read it. I'm from the peaceful banks of a creek with no name. from JFG toast, blackberry jam, and homemade granola. I'm from a house with double porches, a room filled with good ghost and creek laughter in the mornings before first light. I'm from Liriodendron and Lindera, butterfly bush and mountain boomers. I'm from Dillons and Harrisons, Jean and Granny Bea, frugal, long-lived, stubborn, tender, quick to laugh or cry. I'm from a world whose geography my children know better than I, but I'm also from a quiet valley where I am the proprietor and world authority of its small wonders. From barn loft secret passwords and children who can fly if they only try. I am from oven-baked Saran Wrap and coals caught from jackets worn indoors. I'm from Pire in the Blood Baptist, from the cathedral made without hands, the church in the wildwoods, the covenant of grace. I'm from the heart of Dixie, son of Scarlett O'Hara, from War Eagle, Wiffle, UAB, PT, and Walnut Knobs, Blue Ridge in the soft shadows of Goose Creek. From a fast, hideous dresser and a homebody from Woodlawn. From a grandfather, my mother's father, I never knew that I can blame for my love of nature and for my stubbornness, they tell me. I am from fragments, the faint smell of wood smoke and familiar walks among trees I know by name. From here's home and good stock, a man can hardly ask to be from more than this.
Thank you. Um, this is beautiful. I got emotional listening to it. So I usually ask everyone what was their experience like writing this poem. And yours was a while ago, your experience, you said a little beforehand that it helped you identify.
It did. Um, I started a blog in early 2002, and less than a year later, someone identified me among a group of place bloggers.
Mm-hmm,
What does that even mean?
mm-hmm,
And so it was actually somebody from Vancouver talked about sense of place. As a
mm-hmm,
physical therapist, you don't hear that term in the clinic.
mm-hmm,
But when I began to think about it, the hair on my arm stood up. It's like, yes, that's what I'm trying to establish here is a sense of belonging. You know, a place that I belong to and responsible for.
mm-hmm,
And it changes me. The place where we live should change us in ways. And so almost everything that I wrote in here is about that one piece of land. And it surprises me looking back, it's almost all about my mother's family because she was the strongest influence on me. Um, that was Betty Jean. She had Scarlett O'Hara's voice,
mm-hmm.
and I still have some of it myself.
You do. You have a beautiful accent. I It made me think a lot of Robin Wall Kimmerer's book, Braiding Sweetgrass.
Several people have given me her book
Yeah, yeah.
because there's a resonance.
Yeah, have you read it? Because if you
I
haven't,
have
oh,
it.
you have, okay. Because some people get intimidated, like that I know. They're like, that's a big book, and I don't know about biology. So I've heard it's really lovely to listen to because she does have a beautiful voice.
Kindred spirit.
Yeah, yeah. I think she writes so beautifully about obviously the land and how it is like family. And I felt reading it, I just was like, oh yeah, I feel that way about places I've lived and the land there. And we do, I think in the best case, we do feel care for it and responsibility for it. That's our job.
As a as a young writer at 54, I asked for advice, and one little nugget was write every day, write from the heart, write what you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so my business card, if I had one, would say writing about relationships to nature, place, and community.
Hmm.
That's pretty much what I've done for 20 years.
Hmm.
And now we're in a totally different place, and
Hmm.
I'm having to start over again. So you learn where your water comes from, you learn what birds come through in the spring, what a thunderstorm sounds like on a flat land as opposed to in the mountains. I'm having to start over again, but it's kind of a great opportunity.
Yeah. I think it's they're new friends, right? New
Yeah,
family. And
yeah.
but when we were reading the book, I read it with a group, and one of the women was from the East Coast, and she was like, "Oh, this is such a relief because I've never felt at home here in Southern
Mhm.
California. Like, I'm relieved to know that over time I will forge
Yeah,
these relationships."
it takes a while.
Hmm.
It really does.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's good to have new friends and family. But I can understand that it's also not what you anticipated, how you would spend. Um,
Well, you do what you got to do.
yeah,
People ask us, we were so deeply rooted and had such social and natural capital where we were for 27 years in
yeah.
Southwest Virginia. Why did you move?
Hmm.
And my answer is we kept getting older. And so we got to the point where our little community didn't have the health and housing options that
Hmm.
somebody in their later 70s
Hmm.
requires. And also, starting 3 years ago, we knew that my wife was going to need memory care, and she's now been there for about 2 months.
Hmm.
So we got in the door,
Hmm.
established here for a few months. She met some people, and now she's has her own quarters, and I'm an independent living about a 5 minute walk away.
Hmm. I'm glad that you found a place that can provide what you both need.
It's the perfect place. Actually, I brought a show and tell.
And please.
This is what was planted outside our house in the country, and then
Yeah.
we moved to the little house closer to town, and we put it in the soil there, and now there's no soil. There's only carpet outside my room. So it's on a frame.
Uh, um, yeah, home is where you are, right?
Hmm?
Home is where you are.
That's right. Yeah.
Hmm. So I think we were talking a little bit before I started recording about the prompt, and you were going to tell me a story, and I said, let's wait till we start to, what was
I have
it?
no idea which one that was, but so many of these things, well, we were talking about how the poem is not just a poem, it's a beginning place
Mhm.
that launches out into other stories that are very personal and private. And who's going to know what wiffle is?
Mhm.
Or, some of the things I said in there, but that's a story.
Mhm.
And I smile as I read back through this again for the first time, from Barnloft's Secret Passwords and Children Who Can Fly If They Only Try.
Mhm.
My son is now 45, but when he was about 3, I told him that if he flapped his arms fast enough and ran down the hill, that he could fly, and he tried
Yeah,
it. He
I
actually
bet.
did it, and he's never forgiven me.
Yeah, yeah. Did he eat dirt? Because
He ended up in the
yeah, because
boxwood
that's
bush, deep into the boxwood bush.
because he probably got caught some air, but not
He
enough.
got a little loft.
Yeah,
He got a
yeah,
little loft.
yep. Been there. And then bam. Hmm.
So there are a lot of smiles.
So how did you did tell me, or did you, I know I can't remember, but how did you first, I think you did already share that, how you first came up with this prompt. And then how did you start sharing it? Or how did it
Well, I had
work?
a blog, and at the time, there weren't that many blogs. I mean, blog was the
It
social
was a
media
different,
today.
yeah.
It was the
Hmm.
watering hole.
Yeah, it was a very different
And
time.
I had good friends that I met there who came from
Hmm.
states far away to visit.
Hmm.
Uh, and so I put it on my blog
Hmm.
after I went to these workshops, and
Hmm.
people responded. I tell you the truth, I posted it again this week. I have a Substack newsletter.
Yes.
I posted it on Monday and did not get nearly the
Hmm.
resonance
Hmm.
with readers, because
Hmm.
not so many of my readers are writers like they were
Hmm.
back in the early days of the blog.
Hmm.
Um, and so it stayed on the blog, and the blog was up in the radar. Then there were, like, a few thousand blogs and not a
Right.
couple of million blogs. So
No.
I was, uh, for a short while, I was very visible there.
Yeah. And
It
so
just came
people
along.
just found it on your blog.
Yeah,
Amazing. Because then it obviously now if you Google like where I'm from prompts, they pop up. And
yeah.
um, so
And my kids have done it,
oh,
and
that's so
several of
cool.
our friends' families did it, and they
Mhm.
all talked about how helpful it was, and started conversations. And
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
read them when they every one family reads them every year when they go back and have their reunion, wherever that is. They read their
Mhm.
"Where I'm From" poem. just to ground them in who they are,
Hmm.
who they were.
Oh, that's beautiful. I've wanted, I think I've had a mother and a daughter on here and some other cousins. But I'm
Mhm.
always like, please bring your family. I'd love to hear. Have yet to have siblings because I think that would be
Ah,
interesting to see, because I know that my siblings and I have very different experiences
yeah.
of where we're from. Um, and I think that's very common, especially if you're part in age in any way.
But the other thing it does is help people who aren't writers to
Hmm.
write, and they write
Yes.
something that seems substantial and meaningful
Yes. Yes.
without a whole lot of effort.
I think it's a great tool for helping people realize they have something to say
Hmm.
because everybody does. Everyone has a
Yep.
story. And I think the more we know our own story, the better off we are. Uh,
Well, yeah, like I said, when I posted it on Monday with a little preface and said, it's time for us to think about where we belong in a time that's so disruptive and chaotic. We need to get back to our roots and relationships and the common good
mhm,
in sharing our stories.
mhm.
It's
Yeah.
more important now than ever, I think.
Yeah. And I think it's just a good reminder that everyone has a story and everyone matters. Uh, but there aren't people who matter less.
Yes,
And it's strange how it's a revolutionary thought for
we have
some
to say
people.
that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. um, so I think for me too, doing this project has helped me feel less powerless. Like I
Hmm.
don't know if you felt that way when you created the prompt, just kind of you're reaching out from your space out into the world and saying all of this matters to me.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it was really hard. Even in 2003, we lived in that community just for a couple of years, but people live so far apart. It's so rural.
Mm.
And the farm where I wrote most of this, there were 10 people per square mile.
Wow.
And it was kind of hard to meet people, but the blog became the
Hmm.
basis for, like I said, so many friendships and opportunities. Um, I took a risk and made myself vulnerable, like this
Hmm.
poem does, in a
Hmm.
way. You're opening yourself up, but I've never been punished for that.
Hmm.
My wife, is terrified that I'm telling people what we're doing, and it's like, it'll be okay. And it always has been okay, and it will
Yeah,
be. And I'm
yeah.
going to keep writing.
Yeah, and I think it's a I've realized over time that it's like a I can't think of the right word, but it helps you know who your people are.
Mhm.
If sharing yourself puts somebody off or
That's right. Natural selection.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Good to know before we got further down this
Right.
road because I'm going to keep doing this
Mhm.
because when I wasn't doing it or I was in a situation, with my family when I was young, many of them didn't want to hear what I had to say. It wasn't healthy for me. So I don't want to
Right.
have relationships like that
Right.
now. So yeah, it's kind of yeah, it weeds people out.
I ended up in 2004 being asked the little local paper if I wanted to write a regular column twice a month. And I said, what about? They said, anything you want. And so I called it The Road Less Traveled.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot about the stuff I write here about
Mm-hmm.
belonging to place, about natural history and nature, about community. And those ended up being NPR radio essays. And so people knew my voice that I had
Mm-hmm.
never met. And I would meet a stranger on the street and they'd say, wait a minute, you're the guy that does those essays. So, I mean, the writing has just been an avenue to so many wonderful opportunities to meet people.
Mm-hmm. It does foster connections for
Mhm.
sure. I feel similarly, not from a blog, but from this series and
You have
Instagram
a
in
book.
general, which is, kind of a strange place, but I've met a lot of people and it has made my world feel at one sense larger because I know people from all over, but smaller because we're all so interconnected. And and that's the thing that strikes me every time someone reads me their poem, how interconnected we all are, and that there's something in it that I feel like, oh, I remember that, even though it's not my memory.
Yeah,
It's very powerful.
truly.
So, is there anything else you'd like to share, Fred? I
Well, let me see here. Scroll down. Well, I guess I've said everything I need to say.
Well, that was easy. Um, but what a thing to be recognized by your voice. That's only happened to me. I was on just one NPR thing once in college. And it was just Allison, it wasn't.
Uh-huh.
And then it wasn't, I wasn't recognized by it, but a couple people called me and said, I think I just heard you on. And I thought, oh, I didn't even know it was on. It was one of those
Yeah.
things like those like people on the street kind of interview type things. But the reach of something like NPR is enormous.
And I still very much still had my Southern accent more than I do
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And so it kind of marked me among
Yeah.
other essayists.
And did you ever, because my husband is from Texas and does not have an accent, and I have many friends from the South, and many of them don't. Did you ever feel like you had to choose, or did you make a conscious decision not to lose your accent? Or
No, no, not really. And I find when I go back, which I haven't been in forever, but when I go back to the Deep South, it
Mhm.
pulls it out of
Oh,
me.
I'm sure.
And I get by slow, talk slower, and my R's are not
Yeah.
pronounced, you know,
Yeah.
Southern.
Yeah. It's to me, it's like music because I just have always, I grew up in Southern California. I have this accent, which, for some people is standard, but it's still an accent. We all have them. Um, well, thank you so much, Fred,
Oh, I enjoyed it.
for responding to my shot in the dark. And
Oh, it was wonderful and well timed.
oh, good. I'm so glad. And thank you for sharing this so many years ago. I feel like there's just something profound about it. I think I'm getting emotional thinking, getting emotional.
I know.
I think because we just don't know what how what we do will affect people.
No.
And you dropped your pebble in the water.
The ripples.
Yeah. And
Well, that's gratifying.
I think it's just thank you. And it's also a reminder to us to kind of keep dropping our pebbles in the water, you know,
Indeed.
at a time when I think pebbles don't feel big enough. They are.
Yes. Good
So,
advice.
so anyway, thank you.
I'm glad it was you and not me because I had to read this through 15 times to get all the way through it.
I usually really try not to cry because I don't want to make the guests cry. But I couldn't control myself. And it was funny in your poem, easy to or quick to laugh and cry. That's me for sure. So it's always like an effort to not cry, but I couldn't do it
I
today.
hear you. I'm with
Um,
you, sister.
so thank you, Fred. I really appreciate it.
Well, talk to you again, and I'll be watching your future programs
Okay, well,
for
thank you.
sure.
Now I have to figure out how to stop recording, which takes me a moment to, huh? Oh, goodness.
I think if I leave, it'll stop.
Oh no, don't leave.
Oh,
I want to say a proper goodbye. Here
okay.
we go. Okay, stopping. Thank you.